Are you feeling distracted at work? Do you want to be a little bit more productive? Today I'm going to talk about 8 easy ways that you can be a more productive employee. Stick around to the end because I have a bonus one for you. So one of the ways to be a more productive employee, and we did a whole video on this, but this is my number 8 way, is to make friends at work. I know it sounds counterintuitive. I know a lot of the prevailing thinking is that if you're socializing, you're not productive, you're not getting anything done. However, all the research shows that the more embedded, connected, the more that you feel safe at work, the more you feel like work is a fun place to be and to go, the more work you actually get done. So my number 8 tip for being a more productive employee is to make friends at work. Number 7, the 7th tip for being a more productive employee, for being more productive in general, is to take more breaks. This one is also counterintuitive. If you're taking breaks, are you not unproductive? Nothing's happening on those breaks, right? No, in fact, all of the research shows that the more breaks that you take, the more productive you are. Now, there's of course a limit, and we've talked about this in other videos, but as it would turn out, your brain operates according to what's called an ultradian cycle that cycles through about every hour or so. What it means is you should be taking a break for your brain health about every 45 minutes for about 15 minutes. And what the research shows is you will actually be more productive when you get back, not less. Instead of visioning your day like a marathon, I want you to think of your day as a series of sprints, so that what you're able to do is you take more breaks, and when you get back to work, all the research shows you'll be fresher, ready to go, and that much more productive in those little sprints. Tip number 6, how to be a more productive employee. Drink more water. I know this seems so straightforward. However, what we know is that by the time you actually feel thirsty, you're dehydrated at the cellular level. And by the time your cells have given up their water, your brain has given up almost 2 liters. What this means is that the more water that you can sip throughout the day, staying ahead of the thirst, the more productive you will be. It turns out that, of course, the first thing we give up is hydrating ourselves. So tip number 6 is to make sure that you stay hydrated, because your brain needs that water to be productive. Tip number 5 for being a productive employee includes giving up multitasking. I've talked about this a lot, and sometimes they say if there's one thing I can do for your productivity, it's to single task. Multitasking, however, turns out to be a myth. It doesn't actually exist. As it turns out, your brain is what we call a serial processor, not a simultaneous processor. It can't actually do 2 things at once. Because of this, when you try to multitask, you're actually doing something we call code switching. And code switching doesn't just decrease your productivity, it increases your frustration levels, it increases your cortisol levels and your other stress hormones, so that you don't just get less done now, you sustainably get less done over time. So tip number 5 is to single task. Focus, get rid of any temptation to multitask, and you'll be that much more likely to be able to focus, concentrate, and get more done. Another way to be a more productive employee is my tip number 4, and that is to set boundaries. It means both setting physical boundaries as well as figurative boundaries. Let me explain. Setting physical boundaries allows that you allow yourself time to focus, to be more motivated, to be more productive, to concentrate. This will allow you to get more done, which of course is highly satisfying. It also means setting figurative boundaries. And by that, I mean not allowing people to constantly interrupt you or to set their priorities for your day, for your time, for your energy, your effort. What it means is that you set boundaries with other people about how much they can infringe on your time, your priorities, and your productivity. So my tip number 4 is to set boundaries at work so that you have prime opportunities to actually get stuff done, to be productive, and to be able to focus. Tip number 3, if you want to be more productive, what better way than to make the tasks you have to do fun? One of the best ways to do this is to gamify your tasks. You can do this in any number of ways. Often I will tell myself that I'll do something for 15 minutes and that I will race against the clock to get as much done as I can in that time. Depending on what you're working on, you might find that you're racing against the clock, or that you're trying to beat yourself yesterday, or that you are trying to get as much done as you can in a certain time frame. But the idea is that what you have to work on shouldn't feel like work. You'll be much more productive if you can make it fun. If you enter into a state of play, play is actually one of the best mindsets for being more productive. Now, one of the easiest ways to enter into a state of play is actually to set up a competition. And so if you set up a competition either with yourself or with other people, what we see is that competition for competition's sake is fun to the brain, and this will actually help you get more work done more productively. Tip number 2 for being more productive: this is to put your mobile device away. New research shows that even when your phone is off, it's not receiving or transmitting information, it is a distraction. It's almost like your brain is constantly sharing part of itself with your phone, monitoring for it to go off. Even when it's off, in the same room, it turns out researchers have shown it's distracting. So if you really want to be productive, you want to focus, you want an opportunity to concentrate, one of the things you can do is put your phone away, or preferably in an entirely other room for a while, so that you have the opportunity to get stuff done. My number 1 tip for making sure that you're increasing your productivity, you're feeling like your most productive self, is to either go in early or stay late. Probably not both, because that makes for a very long day. But the idea is that if the rest of the people in your office are distracting, or if you're finding it hard to concentrate when everyone is there hustling and bustling during the day, one of the best ways that you can circumvent that and focus better and get more done is to go in before anyone is there, or stay later once everyone else has left. This will give you an opportunity to be in your work environment, getting work done, but without the distraction of other people, their time, and their needs. Okay. My bonus tip. One of the things that research shows is one of the best ways to maximize your productivity is to do what we call eating your frogs for breakfast. And what that means is that you do the toughest thing in your day first. Now, it comes from a Mark Twain quote that says that if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and the rest of your day shall surely improve. If what you do is the hardest thing, your highest priority, the toughest thing on your list first, you actually get surges of dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, sometimes enkephalins, that help you be more productive throughout the rest of your day. And so research shows that if you start with your highest priority, the rest of your tasks actually seem simpler and easier in contrast, something we call the contrast principle. And this actually increases how productive a person is over the course of an entire day. So my bonus tip is that you would start with the toughest thing in your day, eat your frogs for breakfast, and you'll be a much more productive person. Thank you so much for watching. Now, I gave you 9 tips for how to be more productive. In truth, there are videos for each of those tips. If you want to be more productive, subscribe, like, comment, tell us what else you're interested in, and you'll then have access to all the other videos that go into so much more detail about how each of these principles work.